Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Forge Hub YouTube channel. This is Crush, and today we are going to be starting a new series called Creator Spotlight. This is going to be an interview series which interviews new and old creators and gives new forgers some tips and hopefully allow them to begin their journey a little bit more smoothly while also introducing you to someone who you might not have heard of. So without further ado, Bob, take it away.
Hi, Badonkers Bob. I've been a forger since Halo 3, but it wasn't until Halo 5 where some of you might have gotten familiar with my maps, which are the series of aliens maps.
That's awesome, man. Sounds like you've been in the community for quite some time then in that case. So, if you don't mind me asking, what was your primary inspiration for making these aliens maps? I've honestly kept some eye on them for a while, and they're honestly quite the achievement.
While the films were definitely a huge inspiration for creating environments in general, the original Aliens game from Halo Reach was actually hugely influential for the first map. And after that, that sort of just became the foundation for the gameplay and the structure of the maps that came afterwards.
Awesome, man. Honestly, the Aliens films have inspired a lot of people, and that's great to see that they've inspired you too to want to create a bunch of great things. Even the Aliens game back in Reach, all the classic linear maps that people have made and played. Everyone always has great memories, and those are always usually inspirational for people. My next question for you actually is, what maps are you planning to bring over to Infinite, if any at all? Some people are preparing maps to bring over, and are you one of those people?
I definitely am, but they're sort of going to be reworked and compiled together more instead of having so many different maps, since that's how they ended up there being so many in the first place. Was because I couldn't really fit the concepts of the original designs into the budget. So what was left over was essentially compiled together to create the sequels.
That's great to hear that you'll be bringing some of your maps over. And yeah, the budget sadly has kind of crippled a lot of people's ideas when it comes to their creativity. Even though that it has improved so much since Halo 3, it still has its limitations, and those definitely are something that hopefully can be expanded upon in the future with Infinite. You've mentioned that you've worked on these aliens maps for quite some time now. How long have you actually been working on them, and how far are you into the series?
It's actually been going on for about 4 years now, I think. I'm actually on the 10th map, but I've made several updates to the older ones over time as I make some of the newer ones and kind of get a better idea of, just the general design I'm going for what I can do with the budget. I just have to run a few more tests on a prop just to make sure, we'll see what I can do with it. Just see if I can blow it on airlock or something like that. But the other ones have definitely gone through several different updates. Some of them look completely different compared to how they originally were, even especially some of the older ones, as they were initially released as like groups of three in a sense. Some of them are a little more back to back in their continuity, like 2 and 3, where you start from the tram that you get in at the end of 2.
Nice. So they're kind of more of like a story, and it like with the series, it's more of a story that kind of keeps flowing even from the outro to the intro in a sense.
In a sense, I wish I could greatly expand upon that with the map storytelling and the details, but hopefully I'll be able to really delve into that in Infinite.
Hopefully that'll be the case. Honestly, Infinite has a lot of potential for the forging community, and my next question for you would be, what would be some stuff that you would like to see in the new forge? Whether it be things like object scaling, or whether it be something like skybox settings.
I feel like there's a lot of potential for them to really expand upon the effects department and just a lot of little things like that, like with the labeling and the nav points and little UI things like that, but mostly the effects. Having water for sure would greatly open up opportunities for detailing and making things much more immersive, especially with the fact that you can change the effects to make it look like you're underwater. Doubling the size of an object or cutting it in half would really open up a lot of opportunities for the different ways that people already use objects. I mean, and, you can still discover just all kinds of ways that people will use a single object, whether it be like a little piece of it poking through the wall, or having it be a certain position. It looks like a completely different object sometimes.
Yeah, that's always been a neat trick that forgers have been able to do, is use objects in certain ways that make them not even look like the object at all. It's honestly quite the marvel of creativity. I definitely agree with you with the scaling stuff too, because that would even make that even more possible by being able to shrink and make objects even larger to accommodate that creativity boost even more.
Yes, and my next question for you would actually be, what would be some advice you would give to up-and-coming foragers or new foragers that you think would help them in their career?
Well, just definitely keep playing around with it. Get some experience just building in general. But while you're doing that, it's important to really get an idea of the different perspectives of players and how they interact with your map and how they can and will, probably try to break things or stuff like that, or how things can be out of balance under a certain player's skill or lack of skill. Just things like that. That way, over time, as you sort of rinse and repeat play test your map, you can have you can get a good idea of how to finally fine tune your settings.
That's some great advice there, actually, and hopefully all you new foragers will take that into account, as that's something that a lot of foragers generally struggle with on their very first maps, or even in their later maps. It really can be something that you gotta kind of take with a grain of salt sometimes, but definitely make sure that you listen to the feedback, and that will overall help you improve as a forager and improve your maps and maps designs as a whole. My next question for you, Bob, is actually just going to be, what have been some of your favorite creations from the community that you've seen while you've been foraging?
I would say some of the more extremely creative and wacky ones that have come about in Halo 5 were definitely some of the ones that have heavily inspired me to make some of these maps, like the recreation of the toilet, where it's literally a toilet and the little detail of it opening, or the Night of the Mantis maps, which is an excellent example of scripting capability. It also looks aesthetically great too, and several other maps of that sort. But not only with scripting, but just the potential for aesthetic too, and atmosphere especially. I would also like to see some more ridiculous things. Like another favorite map of mine would actually be a Shrek themed map, where you spawn in a swamp and there's a piano in front of you playing the Shrek theme, and you turn around and there's a giant pixelated Shrek head behind you. Well, I would definitely be putting out at least a handful of new maps before Infinite, and definitely be continuing to forge in Infinite. But I'm mostly excited to see what the community comes up with, and just the potential in general for an explosion of new ideas and.
Definitely, and that's something that Infinite is 100% going to be showing us, is all the explosive ideas with all the new equipment, weapons, the new sandbox, vehicles, etc. Well, thank you, Bob, for sitting down with me today and answering all these questions. I'm sure a lot of it will help new foragers, and it's definitely probably showed some old foragers some of your old stuff while watching this video. Please remember to leave a comment down below telling us what you thought about this new series and what you think some other questions or even another creator that we should interview should be. Thank you all again for watching this, and remember, let's forge a new Halo.